Hello and welcome back to the Making the Radio Cut blog. I'm Michelle, and on the phone with us this week, all the way from Dothan, Alabama, the program director of 106.7 WKMX, Aaron Tyler. So, Aaron, what led you to a career in radio?
Me getting into radio was completely an accident. I was an intern for a night jock in high school, but I got the internship because I called in for that night jock's top 5 countdown, and I guess I didn't sound like I sucked too bad, and he said, hey, have you ever thought about doing an internship? And I never thought about radio at all, but it was right before my senior year of high school, and I knew that inevitably, first day back in English class, we were going to be assigned a what did you do on your summer vacation essay. So I took the internship just figuring, okay, here's something I can write about, and I just got hooked on it.
Did you have a plan B, and what was it if you did?
I've had so many plan Bs throughout the last 10 years or so that I've been around radio that I wouldn't even know where to start. My parents originally wanted me to do something with computers and get into like computer programming and that would have made more money than radio, but for some reason I just as many times as radio has kicked me around, I keep coming back to it. It's like a bad relationship that you just can't get out of because for all the bad times, there are so many more good times. You just don't want to walk away, or you can't walk away. I don't know which.
What was your very first radio gig like?
Well, as I said, it was an internship, and I was working with a night guy in a small-ish market, city of about 100,000 people, and it was just helping him out with his shows. This was pre-Janet Jackson, so you could get away with a lot more on the radio then than you could now. So there were stunts involved. There were bits like No Panties Friday. We would encourage women to tie their underwear around the antenna of their car and drive around and come out to the radio station, or we'd go looking for them and give them prizes. It was a lot of fun. As far as the internship, the on-air part just kind of happened. Somebody quit, got fired, depending on whose version of the story you believe, and I got their air shift.
Who would you consider your radio mentors?
I've been very lucky throughout the course of my career. I've had probably more stops and more call letters on my resume than I would like to have at this point, but I've had the opportunity each place to work with some very strong people as far as leadership and teaching skills. Obviously, the person that got me started in radio, his name is Fig. He's the former afternoon guy at Q104 in Cleveland and is now programming in Saginaw. He's got to be on there. One of my very good friends is now working in Minneapolis, Dan Edwards. He's certainly somebody that I would include. Tommy Austin, I would say, has probably been the biggest influence on my career. He was my program director at Z107.7 in St. Louis, and he's now at Z100 in Portland.
Favorite part of working in radio?
I could be having what I think is the worst day ever, but yet I can jump on the air and do something as simple as playing somebody's favorite song and have that just dramatically change their day for the better. It really is the little things in radio that you value the longer you do it.
Least favorite part of working in radio?
And this is something that I've really learned the past couple of years, is around the holidays, being a program director, it seems like you have to do so much more work in order to take a vacation than the vacation is really worth. So there's that. In some ways, there's also, working in top 40, just the burn on the music. But there's all these studies that say for every, 5 times we hear a song, that's how many times it takes your entire audience just to hear a song once. So you take the good with the bad as far as that goes.
And since you mentioned that during all your stops along the way, you've worked your way up to being a PD, what are the major differences between doing that job and just being an on-air talent?
Wow. Where do I start with this one? The biggest is responsibility, obviously, because when you're just a jock, what you're responsible for is your 4 or 5 hour show, production work, any remotes you might have, and that's pretty much it. But when you make the jump into programming, especially as the program director, everything is your responsibility, whether it's somebody calling in, your morning guy calling in sick at 5:15 in the morning. He's supposed to be on the air at 6, and you got to roll out of bed. get a quick shower, get dressed, drive to the radio station, and somehow manage to put together somewhat of a decent morning show by 6 a.m., whether it's something like that or working with the sales department, as frustrating as sometimes the sales departments can kind of be. You need them and they need you, so you got to learn to get along. And just the overall package of having everything involving your radio station land on your shoulders, it's enjoyable because it's responsibility, but at the same time, I don't want to call it not enjoyable, but it's certainly more of a stressing factor to your life that you don't have just as a jock.
And you guys are kind of lucky in a sense, because I know a lot of radio stations don't have bodies anymore, but you guys have your morning show, you have a midday jock, and yourself. Say one of those people up and left. What would you look for in the demo of the person you're hiring to replace them?
Well, unfortunately, the talent pool right now, and I had this very problem just a couple of months ago, because my previous morning show my previous morning show host left for another opportunity. I had somebody ready to step up, so I moved my night guy into mornings with the new co-host that we had just hired, and I was looking for a new night guy, and just the talent pool right now is so shallow, and we have nobody to blame for this but ourselves, with consolidation and the economy being in the situation that it is, people trying to operate their radio stations as streamlined as they can. It's eliminating the opportunities for young talent to grow, to learn. I mean, the opportunity that I had, when I got started 9 years ago is no longer there. The live weekend overnight shifts are no longer there. So really, 3 years ago, the answer to this question would have been completely different. I would have said a lot of phone interaction with listeners, a lot of just bits and creative work. But now you have to look more for talent that may not be as obvious. You have to look for a delivery. You have to look for just something in the person's personality that is something that you can work with. It's much less about what somebody already has versus what they can be. One of my very good friends programs in Indianapolis, and the person that is co-hosting his morning show right now, he hired as somebody with absolutely no radio experience a couple of years ago, just based on the fact that she was a very outgoing person. And his philosophy, and mine too, is that you can teach radio, you can't teach personality.
What is the biggest challenge you faced in radio, and how did you overcome it?
The biggest challenge for me has just been maturity. I got started in radio at 17, and like so many people at that age, I thought I knew everything. I thought that I had the world figured out, and I knew how everything was supposed to work. And it took me, I'll be honest, it took me probably 4 years, close to 5, to really figure out that I didn't know it all, and really start to open up and pay attention to what people were trying to teach me. So I made mistakes, and the biggest challenge has been, trying to get through some of the difficult times that were caused by some of those mistakes, financially and personally, as far as moving and trying to find a new gig. And just the learning process has been the biggest challenge, because even though I'm now in a position as a program director, I'm only 26, or about to be 26. I know that every day there's something new to learn. So the maturation process from day to day is by far the biggest challenge, and it will always be a big challenge. And I think that's true if you really get people to open up and be honest. I think that's true for anybody in radio.